No Man's Sky is the greatest redemption arc in gaming history. A title once ridiculed for overpromising and underdelivering has evolved into one of the most ambitious and rewarding games ever made. What began as a disappointment has become a benchmark for long-term developer commitment, and if you haven't looked at it for years, you're in for a shock. When No Man's Sky first launched back in 2016, it promised the galaxy, literally, a procedurally generated universe, seamless space to surface travel, endless exploration, unique creatures, base building, trading, and survival mechanics. It all sounded like a sci-fi sandbox dream. Gamers were excited, critics were curious, expectations skyrocketed. Then the game actually released and reality hit hard. Many of the promised features were either missing, barely functional, or not quite what players expected. The universe was big, sure, but it was also empty. Planets often looked the same, multiplayer was non-existent, and the experience felt repetitive within just a few hours. The disappointment was palpable, and the backlash was brutal. No Man's Sky became the poster child for overhype gone wrong. But what makes No Man's Sky so important today isn't its rocky launch, it's the comeback. In the years since its release, Hello Games has done something very few studios even attempt. They quietly, consistently rebuilt the game from the ground up, without asking players for more money, without making excuses, and now, nearly a decade later, the No Man's Sky of today is unrecognisable in the best ways possible. No Man's Sky was developed by Hello Games, a small indie studio based in the UK. Before the release of No Man's Sky, their biggest claim to fame was the arcade-style stunt-bike game known as Joe Danger. That's part of what made No Man's Sky so impressive from the outset. It was a colossal leap in ambition. Idea of an endless, procedurally generated galaxy was staggering for a team of fewer than 20 people. Leading the charge was Sean Murray, the studio's founder and the face of the game's marketing. He appeared in interviews, trailers, and talk shows, enthusiastically hyping the possibilities. The problem was his passion, and sometimes vague phrasing led many to believe No Man's Sky would include complex features that weren't actually ready at launch. From large-scale space battles to dynamic ecosystems and full multiplayer, people thought they were getting the next generation of gaming. When those features didn't materialise, the backlash was immediate and harsh. Players rightly so felt misled. Review scores tanked, refunds were requested en masse, and Hello Games, once riding high on anticipation, went silent. For a long time, it looked like No Man's Sky would go down as one of the biggest flops in gaming history. Most developers would have abandoned ship. Hello Games did the opposite. In the years following launch, Hello Games has released over 30 major updates, each one adding new features, refining old systems, and dramatically expanding the scope of the game, all without charging a penny more. These weren't just patches, they were massive content drops that transformed No Man's Sky into a whole new experience. The next update was the true turning point for the game. It introduced full multiplayer, letting players finally explore, build, and survive together across the stars. From there, it only got better. Beyond brought VR support, letting players immerse themselves fully in the universe. Origins expanded planetary diversity with more biomes and exotic worlds. Frontiers introduced planetary settlements. Endurance overhauled freighters, and seasonal expeditions offered limited time progression paths with unique rewards, pushing community engagement even further. Base building evolved from a novelty into one of the game's most rewarding systems. You can construct massive outposts anywhere. Floating skyports, underwater domes, cliffside research labs, anything you can imagine. The creativity is staggering, and the tools are surprisingly deep. with full structural customization, power grids, automation, and even decorative flair for players who want their bases to look as good as they function. Creature taming, mech suits, giant freighter fleets, living ships, deep ocean exploration, space station missions, and massive quality of life improvements have been added over time. New weather systems, planetary events, and biome enhancements mean that planets feel truly distinct from one another. No longer are you hopping between palette-swapped rocks. Each world now feels like a potential story waiting to unfold. So, how does No Man's Sky actually play in its current form? Surprisingly well, in many cases, it plays like a dream come true for fans of sci-fi and open world exploration. You begin as a lone traveller stranded on a random planet. From there, the universe opens up. You repair your ship, survive harsh conditions, scan wildlife, build bases, and eventually warp into deep space in search of resources, mysteries, and meaning. Exploration is the lifeblood of the game, whether you're chasing down ancient alien ruins, mapping new planets, or simply wandering into the unknown. The universe invites curiosity. The moment-to-moment gameplay has become far more satisfying thanks to reworked scanning mechanics, new traversal tools, and much more variety in planetary life. You're no longer just moving from planet to planet, you're actively discovering them. Combat both on foot and in space has received multiple overhauls. Space battles feel more dynamic. On the ground, you can wield a variety of upgraded multi-tools and even deploy combat mechs. Hostile Sentinel encounters now require real strategy, with different enemy types and escalating threats. Meanwhile, the crafting and upgrading systems have been fleshed out significantly, allowing for deeper progression paths, specialised builds, and a real choice in how you approach the game. The visual fidelity has also improved dramatically. Planets now feature massive terrain structures, rich lighting effects, realistic weather, and improved creature animations. And if you're playing in VR, it's one of the most immersive space games ever made. Despite its complexity, No Man's Sky runs surprisingly smoothly, even on last-gen hardware. It's accessible without feeling dumbed down. Sure, there are still some quirks. Inventory management can feel tedious, especially early on. The UI, while functional, isn't the most elegant, and new players might feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of systems, but the game never punishes you for learning at your own pace. It's a slow burn game in the best way possible. When comparing No Man's Sky to other open world space games, the differences are glaring, and in most cases, No Man's Sky comes out ahead. Games like Elite Dangerous offer more realism in spaceflight simulation, but they lack the variety and freedom of No Man's Sky. Star Citizen is still in alpha after more than a decade, and although it's ambitious, it's also buggy, paywalled, and far from stable. Then there's Starfield, Bethesda's first big step into sci-fi RPGs. And as I said previously in my review of Starfield here on the channel, the game had potential, but its exploration was ultimately disappointing. You're mostly navigating menus, fast travelling between static locations, and hopping between disconnected zones. In contrast, No Man's Sky offers true seamless exploration. Take off from a planet, fly through space, and land on another world without a single loading screen. More importantly, Hello Games has shown up every year with meaningful updates, something many AAA studios fail to do even once. There are no microtransactions, no paid DLCs, no season passes. Every improvement you've heard about was given freely to players who bought the game. That kind of long-term support isn't just impressive, it's practically unheard of. When I revisited No Man's Sky, I wasn't sure what to expect. Like many, I'd written it off during its early days, burned by the marketing hype and unimpressed by the initial experience. But jumping back into it almost a decade later, I realised just how much had changed. and how much I had underestimated this game. The most immediate surprise was how alive the universe feels. Planets weren't just colourful backdrops, they were rich, unpredictable environments. I found myself walking across a frozen wasteland one minute and flying into the atmosphere of a lush jungle moon the next. Each discovery felt personal, and that spark of curiosity I hadn't felt in years came rushing back in this game. Base building was also a major hook for me. I ended up spending hours crafting a mounting top research station with automated storage, teleporters, and biodomes. And the best part, I didn't end up following any guide for this. I just learned how the systems worked and experimented as I went. It's the kind of creative freedom that few games truly nail, and No Man's Sky makes it feel incredibly rewarding. Multiplayer was another pleasant surprise. Teaming up with fellow adventurers to explore derelict freighters, fend off sentinel raids, or simply show off our bases added a whole new dimension to the game. It felt like the universe was truly shared. Even progressing forward solo, I constantly ran into community creations and galactic hubs filled with life and activity. No Man's Sky has become more than a comeback story. It's a genuine favourite for many people. A game that went from never again to just one more hour, night after night. I didn't expect to enjoy going back to the game as much as I did, yet here I am, scanning alien beetles on a radioactive moon and loving every second of it. No Man's Sky is no longer just a good game. It's one of the most inspiring stories in gaming. It's proof that a rough start doesn't have to mean a game's death sentence. It can mean the beginning of something greater. Hello Games didn't just salvage their reputation, they set a new standard for post-launch support and player respect. If you're someone who loves open world exploration, base building, sandbox creativity, or sci-fi adventure, there's no better time to try No Man's Sky. Whether you're jumping in solo, with some friends, or in VR, it's a game that gives back what you put in tenfold. So if you were disappointed back in 2016, I get it. I definitely was too, but the game you remember isn't the game it is today. No Man's Sky has earned its second chance and then some. So what's your story with No Man's Sky? Did you play at launch and bounce off? Have you returned recently and been blown away? Or are you still unsure if it's actually worth your time? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your thoughts and I make sure to read every single one of them. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. It really does help push this content out to people who may find it interesting. And if you're into the deep dives like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button. There's plenty more videos coming your way talking about the best and worst of what I think gaming has to offer. Also, if you want to see how No Man's Sky compares to Bethesda's Starfield, check out my previous review of Starfield, which will be linked down in the description below, or click on the channel to find the video and maybe something else that you might be interested in watching. And of course, make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss when a new video comes out, or when we do one of our live streams over here on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you all in the next one.